All right. Does that sound better, Sharon? If you could just let me know what and then I will walk you through the information. But the first thing that I want to talk about in terms of building an audience, and if I happen to get it figured out, I will in fact get that going for us. But the first thing that I want to talk about is what's going to be necessary to build an audience. Now, if you're brand new, I know sometimes when you're new and someone that has been doing this for a while says, well, all you need to do is ask your audience and then they'll tell you what it is you should be doing, what types of products they want and so forth. And I can remember hearing that language and thinking to myself, but I don't even have an audience. So who am I supposed to ask? Who am I supposed to survey? And so my journey was this. I made a decision in 2022 that I was going to revive my YouTube account. Understand that I've had a YouTube channel since I think it was like 2013. And early on, when I was involved with a different business, I'd had pretty good success with that. But I wasn't consistent with it and I didn't do much with it. Fast forward the clock to 2022, and I made a decision that I wanted to get that channel back up. I had shifted gears in terms of what my focus was and how I was actually going to build my business. And so I had to start from scratch. Now, when I say I had to start from scratch, understand that I did have some individuals that were subscribers of mine. They were involved, they were with me based upon what I had been doing previously. So I'm going to try one more time to see if I can get my screen because I think this will be a lot more effective if you can see my screen. And if this doesn't work this time, we're just talking through it. So I have no idea where we're going wrong. Okay. I'm not going to spend the time. We're going to go back and just work with what we have. I think there is a delay of some sort that's causing this. So, all right, I'm talking it through. All right, so the first thing I want to do is explain to you how my channel started off. So, as I moved through and made that decision to start going through things, one thing I can tell you is that my I had some subscribers, but they were there from a channel when I was doing something else. So I essentially had to start from scratch. And what I did was I started to think about a few things. And one of the first things that I started to think about was who was it that I wanted to serve and what my niche was going to be because it had to be completely different from what I was doing because I had moved away from that. So I made the decision that I wanted to serve the people that I felt I had the most in common with. And here's what I meant by that. I wanted to serve people that were over 50 and over and that were working in corporate America and perhaps were starting to think about retirement or just simply wanted to do something else or they wanted to generate some income. I knew the struggles of that group very well because that's where I was. And so I decided very early on that that was who I was going to work with. Now, what I did know how to do was I did know how to create digital products because I had done that previously. I did know how to grow an audience because I had done that previously. But what I had to do was to adapt to some of the things that my new audience was going to be interested in. So, one of the things that I started to do was to think about what it was that they would be struggling with. And I need you to really get this because oftentimes, here's what I see happen with people that are brand new. They decide they want to create digital products, for example, okay? Because most of my audience, that's who they are and what they do. And they immediately start creating digital products and they have no success. Well, the problem with that is because of the way that you're going about it. You have not taken the time to do the steps necessary. You need to nail your niche down. There's no other way around that. And I know some people are going to tell you you don't have to have a niche. I'm telling you what happened to me. When I was just out there randomly posting content, I was getting no traction whatsoever. Once I narrowed in on who it was that I wanted to help, things started to change. Next thing I had to do, as I mentioned, was to figure out what they were struggling with. So, since I did not have an audience, one of the things that I did was first and foremost, I simply went to a website called answerthepublic.com. So, write that down in your notes. If you've never gone to answerthepublic.com, I encourage you to do that. The reason being is on that website, you can put in, your major category. So for me, for example, I put in to the search bar on Answer the Public digital products. Once you put that in and hit enter, what's going to happen is it's going to populate with all of the questions that people have typed into a search engine, whether that was Google or Bing or Yahoo or even YouTube, questions that they were trying to find the answer to. And then what I did is I just wrote those questions down. You can actually export them to a spreadsheet. But here's why it's important. Well, first of all, answerthepublic.com I think allows you to do 2 searches per day. But honestly, if you do one good search, you're going to have enough content for a very long time. I wrote those questions down and then I categorized them according to things that I knew I could answer for other people. Things that I knew that very well what the answer was, how to go about explaining it to them and so forth. Now, after doing that, so now I had my niche, I had my ideal customer because I knew who that was, the people 50 and over that were working in corporate America trying to make some income, and now I knew what they were searching for. If you can get those 3 pieces down, you're well on your way to being able to grow an audience. Now, the next step after doing that was to start figuring out what type of content I wanted to create. And I knew for me, I felt more comfortable creating videos. Now, you might be a person that says, you know what, I don't want anything to do with showing my face. And I get that. And that's okay because there are definitely channels, faceless channels, that are making lots of money. And you don't necessarily have to be on YouTube. You don't have to be, you could do this on Instagram or Facebook. But one of the reasons why I made the decision to do video was I knew that was a easier connection point for me. There's something to be said about when people can see your face, hear your voice, and then learn your teaching style. What it does is it builds the know, like, and trust factors much faster. So that was my comfort zone, doing video. So I started to think about the things I wanted to create. And for me, I then further narrowed down those questions into buckets or what I call content pillars. You'll hear a lot of people talk about this. And I recommend that you have typically 3 to 5 content pillars. And those are going to be things, buckets, if you will, the audience you're hoping to build, things you know they need to know. So let me All right, Sharon, I hope I'm back now. And I think I figured out how to get my screen to show the slides. I am so sorry. And I think my laptop just decided it was tired. So, if in fact you're back on with me, please let me know whether or not you can see my slides. Looks like we might be back. All right, let's sound back now. Okay, it looks like my sound might be back. I had to do okay, thank you so much for letting me know, and actually have my screen now, so I had to do a hard restart on my computer. So, we talked about these, components, creating content. So now I wanna get to the point of showing you let me go back and show you something because this is what I really wanted to show when we were on. All right, I'm going to show my channel analytics because this should help anybody. And I'm specifically going to show my subscriber count. So if you look at this, remember I mentioned that I had a channel that prior to 2022, I had done nothing with for years. So you can actually see if you look at my subscriber count in 2022, I was hovering around, you know, just under 900. As a matter of fact, if you look at the numbers, starting at the end of December, I had 2022, I had a total of 916 subscribers. Fast forward to December of 2023, this is actually kind of funny to me. It dropped from 916 to 911. I actually lost 5 subscribers over the entire year, which I think is hilarious. But then if you look at what happened in 2024, that's when I really honed in my strategy and started doing the things I'm going to be teaching you consistently and really making sure I knew what I was doing. So now, if we take a look at it, I'm going to change this and go to see if I can change this and go to 2024. All right, let's show you that. All right, I don't know why my laptop is giving me these issues. I'll just read you the stats. You can kind of see it here. Um, so in 2024, I went from 911 to 4,136 subscribers, which is an increase of 3,225 subscribers. And then you can see as of today, I'm at 5,421. This stuff actually works, is what I'm simply telling you. And there was a window of time in here, I think it was around June, that my subscriber count just shot up. And from that point forward, it's just been going. So, what I'm saying to you is if you do this stuff, it actually will work for you. Now, we've talked a little bit about narrowing down everything, but what I want to share with you is it's the content. It is strictly the content that is going to allow you to grow the audience. It has to be relevant content and it has to be helpful content for the audience that you're growing. And as I mentioned, I honed in with my audience on my content pillars. So it was things like digital products, content creation. It was email marketing, because that's another big component of what you're going to need. The next thing that I did was I added in for me as a content pillar affiliate marketing. And I'll share with you why later on. And if I forget, please remind me to do that. So as I mentioned, content that is going to be both relevant and helpful to the audience. So remember I mentioned that my audience is individuals 50 and over. So when I'm sharing content with them, and this isn't true for everybody, but for a lot of them, it is true. Technology is not their friend. Now, despite what you've seen, I'm actually pretty good with technology. My computer system is just not cooperating with me, but everybody's not. And so when I wanted to share content with that group, I knew for a fact I had to teach in a certain way. I had to teach at a slower pace. And it's because I had to show where everything was if I was doing a tutorial video. I had to explain what certain types of things were. I knew that for my audience. That might not be the case with your audience, but please understand that the vast majority of your audience is probably going to be beginners because that's who most of most of the people are in our audience. They're individuals that are relatively new to whatever the topic is that you're teaching. Now, another thing I want to share about the content that you are creating and the audience you're building, despite what a lot of people might see, you do not have to teach make money online. You do not have to teach digital products. You literally can teach anything. For example, I know a woman who's doing exceptionally well and she teaches planning. When I say planning, I mean like get your planner out and we're going to plan next week. I know another woman who teaches crocheting and she's doing phenomenal with it. She recommends she has content pillars that fall within the crocheting niche, and that's what she teaches people. My sister in law is actually someone that is now approaching nearly 90,000 subscribers, and she teaches homemaking to new homemakers. So, women that want to learn how to clean their houses and women that want to learn how to do laundry, she teaches that, and there's a huge audience for that type of thing. So I want you to be comfortable knowing that whatever it is that you're choosing to teach, there's an audience for it. Somebody is going to a website and typing in, how do I do X? How do I do Y? And the other thing I want to get rid of right away is this. A lot of people also are like, but there's so much competition in that niche, whatever it is. No, there isn't. And I'm going to tell you why. If you look at two people that teach the exact same thing, here's what I can assure you: they have different styles, they speak in a different manner, they or present the content in a certain fashion. And so you and I could be teaching the exact same thing. However, some people are going to like my style, some people are going to like your style. And the other reason is every single day new people are coming onto the internet with a desire to learn that topic. So the only competition that you have, and I want you to write this down, is who you were yesterday. That's it. I have never worried about other people that teach how to create digital products. And here's the reason why. Somebody taught me this a long time ago, and it's this: nobody can do what you do the way you do it. Period. There's just no other way around it. So when you decide on what your niche is and who your ideal audience is, don't worry about other people in that niche. Now, it's good to know there are other people in that niche because that tells you that there is in fact a group of people that want to learn that. All right. So if you have any questions as we're going through this, by all means, feel free to put them in the chat and I will definitely answer them. All right, so now let's talk about the types of content. And I'm going to quickly give you these four types, and I'm going to focus in on one. When you are creating content on whatever platform you choose, and just know it should be the platform where your ideal customer hangs out, you want to have a variety of content. In other words, you don't want your entire feed to just be quotes. You don't want your entire feed to be tips because it just starts to look repetitive. And the eye, as it's flowing through things, needs to see different types of content. So, for example, you can do what I call engaging content. That's content where you're asking people to engage with you in some way. Now, as I mentioned, and you probably know this, most of the content I create, all of the content I create for the most part, is on YouTube. So, where do I put this type of content? It's going to be in two places. One is going to be the community tab. I use the community tab to do my post, just like some people might use Facebook to post things. I just use the community tab. The second place that I do is in videos that I create. All right. Now, the second thing is entertaining content. Now, I don't do a whole lot of entertaining content, but when I do, it's typically like celebrating something, like some people are going to do things that make people laugh. Now, I probably need to do more of that because I love a good laugh. I love, something that's funny, but I know my audience is typically there to learn things. The other thing is encouraging content. Now, when I do encouraging type posts, and if you go through my community tab, you'll see examples of all of this. But when I do encouraging posts, it's typically because I'm talking to you in a way where you might have had a bad day and you're wondering whether this content creation and online business thing can work for you. And I'm simply saying to you, things like, I know it might not have worked out for you at this point, but that doesn't mean it won't ever work out for you. That's the type of encouraging content. And then finally is empowering. That's for that person that's out there and they're just not quite sure of themselves, but they're willing to try. They're willing to put the information out there. And I'm simply saying to them, you've got this. You've got this. And I'm telling you, these four types of content make a difference. But this is the one that, quite frankly, grew my audience. And it's educational content. And quite frankly, this is probably what's going to, I don't even want to say probably, this is what's going to grow your audience. So if you're looking to go from zero to audience, this is what you're going to do. So, as I mentioned before my stream cut off on me, you can go over to the website, Answer the Public, which allows you to put in your major category. And I'm going to hopefully it will cooperate with me. I don't want to do a whole lot here. I think you probably will see this. Let's just see something, see if it will switch for me. All right. If not, we will just live with it. All right. But if you go over to Answer the Public and get your list of questions, now what you're going to be able to do is to start putting together a list of things that you know for a fact you can answer. And I want you to put them in this format or these formats. One is tips. Based upon what your niche is and what you know people need to learn, what tips can you give to them? What can you teach them how to do relatively easily based upon your own personal experience? Strategies. What strategies do you have that you've developed over time that would make something easier for people? All right. How to do something. These are the tutorials, the step by step type thing. Now, as I mentioned, I tend to do things in video format, but there are times if you go to my community tab, I will have a step by step. This is step 1, this is step 2, step 3. So I'm saying that to you because again, for those individuals that may not be video people, and I'm hoping I can talk you into that at some point. But if you're not a video person, just know that you can still do text-based posts and they're effective as well. Another is answering questions. Now, I'm going to tell you answering simple questions is one of the best possible ways of actually getting to the point of being able to getting to the point. Let me take myself off and just go full screen here. Hold on. There we go. Answering simple questions that you might think are just too simple to answer is a great way to grow your audience. I can remember being on a training in 2024, January, was like the first week, and my YouTube coach said to me, he was showing some different topics. He's like, if I were you, I'd make that video. I was like, really? And it was something that was, I knew how to do, but I just had never thought of it. And what it was a simple, like 2-minute training on how to do something on Canva. And when I did that, I was shocked by how that started to gain traction. So it's one of those things that people would go to a search engine, type in, and if you know this or not, now even videos are showing up in Google. I mean, they've been showing up in Google, but now they're even showing up in things like Chat GPT. So you can actually get traffic that's going to come to you from places like that. So don't discount answering simple questions for people. Same thing, shortcuts. If you know a shortcut, that is a great type of content to create. And then just things that solve problems in general are great ways of creating content that's going to be relevant and useful to your audience. Okay, so want to make sure that you actually have that. Now, the next thing is the types of ways that you can create that content. Well, some people like things like short form videos. So you can just use your cell phone, turn it on, record the question and then the answer, and simply upload that to Instagram or Facebook or now YouTube Shorts. Another thing that you can do is something like I don't know if you've seen them, but they're videos that will just have a background, okay? Short videos that just have a background, and then the tip and the answer is right underneath, or the question and then the tip is right underneath it, or a series of tips. Another thing is going to be things like a carousel post. And if you're not familiar with a carousel post, all that is content that is presented over 3 to 4 pages, a post, if you will, but they're all linked together. So you'll have the question, let's say on page one, and then the person scrolls, and then there's page two, and something's going to be presented there, page three, page four. And then typically the last page is a call to action of some sort. It might be, subscribe to my channel. It might be, get your freebie here, whatever the case is. So that's another way to do it. Now, for you, as you are creating content, I want you to think in terms of series, if this is at all possible. And here's what I mean by a series. What types of content can you break up into 3 or 4 parts? And the reason why you want to do that, and each part has to be valuable. But the reason why you want to do that is because it allows your content to then become bingeable. Think Netflix, okay? If you're watching a series on Netflix, it's rare if you like the series that you wouldn't go on to the next episode. So I want you to really think about how you can set things up in a way that they would, in fact, be, would lead right into the next one. Why is that? Because now, what you're doing, if you're creating content in that fashion, is people are getting to know you. If they've watched the first one and your next topic leads right into the second one, or the second and the first are definitely connected, they're going to watch it, particularly if they're interested in this specific topic. The next thing is if you can then get them to watch that third piece of content, now what you're doing is you're just giving them, even more reason to know and learn your teaching style, because each piece of content is allowing them to get to know you better. And I'll tell you in a second why this is so important. And then if you can get them to watch that fourth piece, now they've been watching you for a while. And, chances are pretty good that they know you, they feel like they know you. They're starting to trust you. And see, if they trust you and they know you, now they can decide if they like you. And if they like you, 9 times out of 10, they're going to continue coming back. And these factors, know, like, and trust factors, are critical if you ever want to get to the point of selling digital products, because all three of those have to be in place in order for someone to make the decision to buy from you. So understand that's what you want to focus on, is creating content that is bingeable. Now, overall, your goal is to create a catalog of content. And you want to have a catalog of content that covers your various content pillars. Remember, we mentioned content pillars are things within your topic that your audience, your specific person, your ideal customer wants or needs to know. So, let's talk crocheting. And trust me, I don't know anything about crocheting, but I assume that people would need to know things like what type of yarn to buy. I think they would need to know things like the types of stitches. They might be interested in, the patterns that would be necessary to create things. So each of those could be a content pillar. If you're creating a catalog of content, you want to create bingeable content within each of your content pillars. Okay. I'm going to give you another example of content that has done very well for me. And it was a series. It was how to create an ebook. And in this playlist that I created, I took people from the point of creating the content for the ebook, designing it, and then selling it, and then showing them how to, or selling it, showing them then how to deliver it to their customer. So they went from not knowing anything all the way to the point of being able to get it set up for sale and deliver it automatically to their customer regardless of the time of day. People found that content extremely valuable. And when I was showing my list of subscribers and how they skyrocketed, it was because of that piece of content. Now, here's the thing, because you don't really know what's going to take off, you want to make sure that you're trying different types of content pieces throughout your journey, or as you're working to build this, is what I should say. So I would say, going back to that crocheting, don't just talk about the needle, the crocheting needle. Talk about the patterns, talk about the yarn, because all of those are related to that same person, and you never quite know what is going to bring someone to you. Some people might find you because you were talking about the best type of yarn for crocheting baby blankets. That might be what brings them to you. Others might find you because you were talking about patterns. Others might find you because you were talking about whatever. You guys get the gist of what I'm saying here. So just know that your goal is to create content that's bingeable, create a catalog of content, and then you also want to break it up into different formats. Okay, so now how is this going to help you build your audience in 90 days? Here's your strategy. What you're going to do is every single day without fail, you're going to post a piece of content. Now, you need to select the platform that you're going to be posting to and stay consistent on that. I can't say this enough. Pick one platform. If you are someone that does not have a team, it is very difficult to try to be all over the place. If you And what I mean by that is on multi-platforms. If you see a content creator that's very successful and they're on multiple platforms, I can assure you they either have an assistant or they have a team behind them. I want you to simply focus on one platform and make sure that your ideal customer does hang out on that platform. And as you're posting that content daily, here's what's going to happen. Initially, nothing. Nothing. People are not going to respond to it. You're going to feel like you're talking to a wall because you're not going to get any likes. You're not going to get any comments. You're not going to get any follows. You're not going to get any subscribers. Initially, that's the way it is. So I say that to you because I don't want you to get discouraged. And oftentimes people will start posting for a week and they're like, but nothing's happening. No one's talking to me. No one's responding to me. No one's liking my Oh, perfect, Sharon. Thank you for sharing that with me. I'm glad you found me from the ebook content. Um, but just know that it takes time. And initially, the algorithm, as we like to say, which is, the every platform has an algorithm, and the algorithm is nothing more than what's going to be served up to the individual based upon what their interest is. So for example, if you look at my YouTube account and what shows up in my For You page, if you will, or my feed, it's not going to be the same as what shows up in yours, because what YouTube is going to do, and any platform is going to do this, is they figure out what we like and they keep giving us more of that. So you have to ultimately produce enough content that you're going to end up in someone's feed. And the reason why, in my example of the knitting or the crocheting needles, I was saying do various topics within that, is you never know what's going to hit. And I promise you this, I really thought my first video on the ebook would do really well because it was like the starting point. It didn't. It did decent, but the other videos within that series did way better. So you never know what's going to work. Now, another thing I would suggest you do is, and this is something that a lot of people will do, is they're like, well, I'll just get a bunch of my friends to like all of my stuff. Well, that's just not going to work, and I'll tell you why that won't work. Because again, if you get them to like, let's say, one video or one piece of content that you created and post it, and they never come back and do it again, or they never watch it through, now, what the algorithm is going to say is, well, that stuff must not be that great because even the people that she's associated with weren't interested in it. So, you really want to let the algorithm do its thing and help find your audience. Your job is just to keep focused on producing a piece of content every single day. Now, I'm going to give you a strategy that will help you produce content more efficiently. Okay. So the first thing I want you to do from that list that you got from let's say answer the public or however you captured your information on what your audience is interested in, I want you to find four topics, and we're going to talk for the month of May. And the four topics are going to be one per week. Okay. Now, you don't have to necessarily post only that content each week, but four topics is what we're going to do. Then, what I want you to do is to take that topic and I want you to break it down into three to five steps you could teach someone. Okay. Four steps, make it easy on yourself. All right. And then, what I want you to do is to come up with a tip for that particular question or something that relates to it. Because now what that's going to allow you to do is to say, okay, I only have to think about these four topics that I'm going to be answering or working with for the month of May. Then I'm going to come up with four tips or strategies that I can provide to people, and it's going to help them learn something that's going to be relevant to them. And then what you're going to do is produce content around that. So make it simple. Do a quote, for example. You could do a tip, like I said, like with a reel. You could just record yourself answering the question. You could do a post that has the tip and then the answer to it. You could write a post that has the strategy. So there's lots of different ways that you can do this, but if you do that step where you just focus on four questions or four aspects of your strategy for, I'm sorry, if you just focus on four questions you're going to be answering and then break that down into 3 to 5 tips, and then you can start sharing things within that. And so let me give you an example of how I would do that. So let's go back to my ebook um, series that I did. With the ebook, I knew that one of the things people had to learn how to do was figure out what topic they were going to write their ebook about. Okay. So I took and I started generating things that I knew would be helpful to them. One of the things that I know would be really helpful to them was a prompt that they could put into Chat GPT to help them come up with content for their ebook. And I'm always one to say, yeah, you can use Chat GPT, but don't just take that content and regurgitate it to your audience. Put your spin on it. Because if I wanted something just from Chat GPT, I could do that myself. What makes it valuable is what you add to it. So I think I use an example of hibiscus, tropical hibiscus flowers. I've been growing those for years. I absolutely love them. Well, I know what my personal experience is. So if I were going to write a book on tropical hibiscus plants, I could talk about my personal experience. So just understand, I could talk about the amount of sun they need, the amount of water they need, insects, care, and so forth. I could do all of that. You can do the exact same thing with the content you're going to create. So think about how you can further subdivide it, and that is going to give you a great way to create content that you could create for the entire month. Now, I'm also going to share with you some other things that I think would be helpful for you to have content that you could share over the course of a week or a month. Make a list of those frequently asked questions, as we talked about, and then figure out how you could best present those. Okay. So, one thing that you might be able to do is to say, in your post, I have a list of these frequently asked questions. And let's say you're going to do one frequently asked question on Tuesdays, your Wednesdays, or whatever day of the week that you pick. And you're going to simply answer a frequently asked question. Another thing you could do is you could make one day a week where you just simply do a quote that would resonate with your audience. Another thing that you could do is a checklist or some type of framework. I don't even want you to worry about a framework, creating a framework at this point. I just want you to create something that you can do. For example, a checklist that I do, and now I kind of do it in my head, is when I'm getting ready to record a YouTube video, I know there are a sequence of steps that I go through in order to make sure that everything is turned on, mics are ready to go, and so forth. You can do the same thing with whatever your content is going to be. All right. Another thing is, maybe there's a something that's been forwarded to you via email, or somebody commented finally on one of your posts and they asked you a question. Well, maybe that question can now be turned into a piece of content. So building that audience, it is going to be the result of consistent posting. It's the content that's going to act as a magnet to the people out there. And just trust me on the fact that the audience that you want is out there. Here's what happens with most people: they simply will not do the amount of posting necessary to attract the audience. Here's what I'm going to tell you: a minimum, a minimum of 90 days is going to be necessary in order for you to start attracting your audience. And what I mean by a minimum is you've got to post consistently for a minimum of 90 days. Now, you might be thinking, gee, that's a lot of posting. Yeah, it is. It's a lot of work. But if you batch your content production, if you make it simple by using that, I'm only going to deal with 4 topics this month and 4 tips within each topic, make it simple on yourself and then figure out what you can do to get that posting. Now, another thing you might do is just set aside a time where you can create your content. So I wouldn't recommend that you're thinking today about tomorrow's content. I would recommend that you work strategically to be able to create at least a week's worth of content, but use the various things that I talked about. You don't have to, do a video every single day. You can do a quote, you can do a tip, you can do a frequently asked question, a text post. But the point is, you've got to do the 90 days. Now, I'm going to give you something I do all the time. And I hope that this will help you. It's called repurposing your content and also reusing your content. So it's not uncommon. If you go through my YouTube community post, if I posted something 90 days ago, oh, it's going to get posted again. I promise you it's going to get posted again. Now, I might change the colors. Sometimes I just simply repost the entire thing. Okay. Another thing that I do is I repurpose my content. So, going back to my YouTube community post, if I've come up with that topic and the 4 to 5 tips, what I'm going to then do is take each one of those tips, I'm going to break it out and expand it and make that another post, if you will. So I don't want you working super hard. I want you working really, really smart. So this content creation stuff does not have to be that difficult. And another thing that you're going to find is the more you do it, the easier content creation is going to come to you. I'm not going to say content creation is easy, but initially, when you get started, it's tough. You're trying to figure things out. But as you do it, you're definitely going to get better at it. Okay. And as I mentioned, that reusing and repurposing, perfectly fine. And here's another thing: you don't have to wait 30 days. So if you created content in month one, well, in month two, the latter part of month two, start reusing it, you know? And the reason why you can do that very comfortably and very easily is you have to understand how the algorithm works. Of all of the people that are in your audience, only 3 to 4% of them are ever going to see a piece of your content. It's just the way it is. Okay. So if in fact you repost it again, the likelihood that somebody's going to remember it is probably pretty much slim to none. Okay. So don't be uncomfortable shortening the amount of time between when you posted originally and when you reuse it. All right. Okay. I'm going to stop for a second and make sure that I have not missed any questions. So I appreciate you all being on here with me. Let's see here. Give me 1 second to look at. Gotta get my mouse to move over to my second monitor. Let's see here. 4 separate topics. Yep. And 4 easy steps. I'm telling you, that is gold. If you do that, that will definitely make things easier. And then making it a priority to post consistently, Sharon. If in fact you do that, that is definitely going to be um, the thing that will separate you from building an audience or not building an audience. And that's where I think people go wrong is I'm sorry, I'm getting my mouse to move over to my other monitor here. Sometimes it's hiding. Um, let's just see here to find out where it's at. Okay. I promise you, next week's live will be on point. One thing that I could say is I'm not one of those people that enjoys having all of the technical difficulties. And there we go. Let's just see what else we have here. Okay. Alicia, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that. Thank you for joining us from Austria. I appreciate you saying that. I definitely work hard to make sure my videos and content is really easy to follow. And I always say simple to understand, easy to implement. And yes, Sharon, batching is, I'm telling you, that is the thing. And here's why batching content works and what batching is for those of you that might not be familiar. You block out a window of, let's say, 2 hours, and you sit down and you say, I'm going to do all my content research in this, first 30 minutes. I'm going to stop, I'm going to take a break. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the next hour, and what I'm going to do is create the content. It's difficult for your brain to switch from research to creation without some type of break. Okay. The other thing that happens is when you are batching in that format, where now let's say you're in creation mode, all you're doing is creating the content. And I create 99% of my content on Canva. So understand that if you, in fact, do it that way, you're going to get into the flow state. And the flow state is when things are just going. So, for example, if I'm creating, let's say I'm doing posts for for my YouTube community page and I want to have tips, I can do 4 tips in 10 minutes. And I mean that's the entire thing because remember, I've already done the research. So I know what the tip is going to be about. Then what I do is I just simply create the template, and now it's just drag and drop, duplicate, drag and drop, duplicate, drag and drop. So my brain is now in flow state on that. Then when it comes time to, actually, let's say posting it, now YouTube's community page will allow me to actually schedule things. If you are working on a platform, Facebook and Instagram, I believe will allow you to do that as well. But just know that if you go ahead and do that and then you can get everything scheduled, you can get things done pretty quickly. Okay. So, working hard to get into that or working to get into that flow state is not as hard as you might think it is, as long as you chunk up the different components. So, there's going to be the research, there's going to be the content creation, there's going to be the scheduling, and so forth. And I try to recommend, and I try to do this myself. I'm not always perfect with it, but I try to be a week ahead with my content posts that are going to show up on my community board. Now, I'm working very hard to get into doing my weekly um, videos because they draw in so many people for me. But again, if video's not your thing, just focus on posting. Now, a couple other things I want to share with you, and we might as well get this out of the way. I call it the warnings and pitfalls that are going to happen. All right. I've already talked about one, which is, it's difficult for most people to maintain a 90-day content sprint, if you will. And I say a content sprint, it's really the way we have to create content. And then as you build that bank, you can start reusing and repurposing that. But some of the other things that we've talked about is you won't get a lot of eyes on your content initially. The second thing is there will be times where you're going to feel frustrated because you're not getting the engagement. Keep posting. Your audience is going to come, they're eventually going to find you. You're also going to be time challenged at points, and you're going to be life challenged. Things are going to happen. So, with that being the case, try to work 1 week ahead. 2 weeks ahead would be like, superhero kind of stuff. But if you can do it, do it. All right. And when I say work 2 weeks ahead, that means on your content creation. A big thing that people are going to experience, the folks that I've coached personally share with me, is imposter syndrome. And we're going to get past that because we're going to keep working on that as I do these weekly live trainings with you. Imposter syndrome is normal. And what that is where you're thinking to yourself, who am I to be teaching people X, Y, and Z? Well, here's the reality: you only need to be 1 to 2 steps ahead of the people that you're coaching. That's it. That's all you have to do, because your content it's going to be evident from your content that it is specifically for a group of people, probably beginners, as I mentioned before. So just know that if you figured it out, you can shortcut someone else's journey, if you will, by teaching them what you've learned. So don't let that imposter syndrome become an issue for you, although we all deal with it. Okay. I deal with it every single day. But I push through it. And that's what I'm going to encourage you to do as well. Another thing is, there are going to be times where you feel like just quitting. I mean, just flat out quitting. And see, I quit once. I always tell people this. I quit once for 10 minutes because I just don't have it in me to quit. Okay. Even when I stopped posting on YouTube, as I was telling that story early on, my husband and I have always had businesses, so I was just doing another business. I don't have it in me to quit. I will figure something out. Now, you have to figure that out as well. And Marie Forleo, she always says everything is figure outable. It is. Pretty much everything you need to know to be successful in online marketing and creating digital products in that. I won't even say pretty much everything you need to know, you can find online. Somebody can teach it to you. My goal is to teach you as much as I possibly can so that we can create this army of people that are out here teaching others how they can create additional streams of income, teaching people how they can learn skills that they want to learn. That is my personal goal, and I hope that's your goal as well. Because if you lead from a servant perspective, and you in fact are just focused on just teaching other people things they want to know and helping them get from point A to point B, you're going to succeed faster. Zig Ziglar always said, if you help enough people get what they want, you'll naturally get what you want. And that's where I want you to focus. So we're not going to let imposter syndrome stop us. All right. Another thing is this, and you might as well write this in your notes if you're taking this down. You're going to get nasty, mean comments. You are. You absolutely are going to get nasty, mean comments. And the thing is, I have learned that most of the time when people sit down and write those types of nasty, mean comments, it has absolutely nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. Okay? So you cannot, even though it may happen, don't internalize that. I need you to do what I refer to as building your bounce back files. These are mental files that you have in your head. And those mental files will not allow you to wallow in somebody else's misery, because that's what it is. Somebody's sitting behind a keyboard. In most cases, they don't even have a picture of who they are on their profile, but they feel very comfortable writing nasty, mean comments. I had one come through the other day, and I thought to myself, well, that's interesting, particularly because you're commenting on how the video was horrible and 20,000 people had watched it. I mean, but okay. So you know what I said to that person? Thank you for watching. And I moved on with my life because there wasn't other evidence that supported that. Now, if people are telling you things that are, to help you, then I can accept, criticism, constructive criticism, but nasty mean, I don't do that. And if it gets too bad, block them. block them. I probably have a couple of block parties a month. That's what I call them, where I just get so much joy out of just getting that person out of my space because we are doing something that most people will never do. And when I say we, I mean all those of you who are watching this video and have the plan of building an audience online. Most people will never do that. So it's going to require a different level from us to be able to exist and succeed in this market. And so you cannot allow those negative comments to knock you off your square. You just can't do it because if you are knocked off your square and you're sitting back thinking about something that somebody else said that was probably just typing mean comments for the heck of it, you're going to miss the opportunity to share your knowledge with somebody who wants to learn from you. And who are we to take that away from people? Okay. So let me stop for a second and again take a look at things here. It looks like Sharon's saying she also uses Canva for everything. Um, yeah, quitting is not an option. We're just going to write that on our notes. Quitting's not an option. We can figure things out. We don't let mean people who are having a bad day affect us, and we keep going. We push through our imposter syndrome. I love that. Attitude is the key. So, and excellent. I'm glad you enjoyed the pitfalls because it's important to know. Because I've had people that I've coached come back to me and they're like boo-hooing and in tears over something that somebody has said. And I typically will ask a couple of questions. What is your why? Why are you doing this? Well, I want to build something for, myself or my family or my kids. I want to retire from my job. I want to generate a stream of income. And my question to them is always, is that less important or more important than the crazy comments you receive from somebody? Because to me, my why is so big that I'm just not quitting. If somebody has a problem with me, they're just going to have a problem with me. Okay. And they can just go on to somebody else's stream or feed and make nasty comments there. And hopefully, all we can do is hope they will eventually get to a point where they don't feel the need to do that. But I don't want you to engage with them. I mean, if you engage with them, use it to your advantage. And here's what I mean by that. Thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting because engagement is engagement. It still helps us overall. We're just not going to go back and forth with them. That's just, we don't have time for that. All right. Okay. So, yes, that you learn to block them. I mean, honestly, that's the best thing because you just need that negativity out of your headspace. It's difficult enough to do what we're doing, but we don't need anybody else contributing to that. Okay, so I want to summarize a little bit, and then I'm going to take some questions. I'm also going to try to share my screen one more time. I don't know what's going on with my with my screen, but we're going to see if I can. Oh my goodness, it's actually there. Okay, so all right, so I'm going to summarize this and I'll stay as long as necessary to answer your questions. But remember, we're talking about posting for a minimum of 90 days. Now, 90 days, we don't finish at 90 days. We keep posting. That's just enough to get us traction, if you will, and start building the audience. Okay. Here's something that you got to do. You need to reply to every single comment or question. All right. When people are replying, and I know it can take time to do it, but you know what? That's a good problem to have when you have so many comments or questions that it's difficult to reply to them. The reason why you want to do that is, first of all, it shows people you're human, it shows people that you care. I feel that if somebody takes the time to write a comment on one of my videos or my posts, I can take the time to answer their question or comment back. Okay. The other thing is, many of the questions that you're going to get from people are going to be able to be turned into content pieces. One of my most successful videos was it was about creating a flip book. And it was because somebody asked me, Rhonda, would you be able to create a video on how to make a flip book? I'm like, sure, I could do that. And you know what that was? A very successful video. I had to take a look at it, but I want to say that particular video is over 20,000 views at this point. All right. So take the time to reply to every single one. The other thing that's going to happen is some people are going to be shocked that you actually replied to them. Like you'll be amazed at what that does for people that are really trying to learn and want to connect with you and want to learn from you. Okay? All right. Now, another thing is your analytics. Now, for those of you that don't know, I am a certified public accountant by training. That was my thing. Numbers are my jam. Okay. So, this may not be yours, but it's not as difficult as you need, as sometimes people make it out to be. And what I mean by that is you have to figure out what it is that worked. So if you created a reel, a specific type of reel or a short form video and it really popped off, we'll make more of them. If you created specific types of quotes and it popped off, make more of them. That's what we call doubling down on what we have. All right. And then if you're using something like YouTube, and that's one of the reasons why there are a lot of reasons why I choose YouTube as my platform of choice, but one of the reasons is the analytics. The analytics that YouTube gives you about your content is second to none. I have not seen another platform that gets down as deep into the nitty gritty as YouTube does. For example, I can tell you that the vast majority, and when I say the vast majority, I'm talking 72% of my viewers are not subscribed to my channel. And I'm okay with that. I mean, love to have more subscribers, but it is what it is. I can tell you what country they're watching each of my videos from. So all I'm saying is get comfortable understanding the analytics. Initially, it might seem difficult or challenging, but you know what? In time, you're going to have it down pat. All right. And then you can do things like polls. You can say to your audience, as you start to build them, or a group of people that you come across, you can simply say to them, I'm thinking of creating content around these four topics. Which of these four would you like to learn most? And people will tell you, you know but like I said, that's going to come later on as you start to build the audience. All right. And then the other thing is being patient and refusing to quit. If it does not happen, the audience that you create, or that you're looking to create, does not happen in 90 days, remember, that's not the end of the world. It means you just got to keep going. But I just have this feeling, because it's happened for pretty much everybody I've taught this strategy through to 90 consistent days of posting. Now, it is not the end of the world if you miss one day. It just isn't. Okay. So don't beat yourself up, because that's not what we're here to do. What we're here to do is to give you an overall strategy that can be implemented and that will help you grow and build that audience. All right. Now, another thing that I want to say about this, and I'm just going to summarize this here for those of you that may have come in a little bit later. Remember, we need our niche, our ideal customer, a single, our content format. For me, I choose videos. You might choose something else. A single platform. Stick with that. Please stick with that. A single platform, and I say that your um, ideal customer hangs out on, and planning to post for a minimum of 90 days. And then it's rinse and repeat. Okay, rinse and repeat. And I think what you will find is, if you look at any successful content creator, anyone that's growing a successful digital products business, they do this. This is exactly what they do. And I promise you, your audience will grow, but you just have to know what they want to learn. You have to be willing to teach it to them. You have to be willing to connect with them by responding to their comments. You have to be willing to ask them what they want to learn. And you have to then be willing to respond to them. Give it to them sometimes in bite sized chunks with tips. Give it to them in a format that's going to, let me go back and show those different types of content, the content. and obviously we're going to focus mostly on educational content, but these other types of content pieces are important as well. Engaging content, ask them to tell you what platform. I'm almost afraid to switch this, but I'm going to try. Let me just see something here. Okay, let's come out of this. I want to go into my YouTube studio. I don't have anything to hide from you guys. So let's go in here. And if you guys, again, have questions, let me know. Let's see here. Let's take a look at, oh, and some of your pieces of content are going to flop. Did I say that? I sure have a lot that flop. Let me go and show you this flip book video. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, here it is right here. So let's look at the analytics on that particular video and why you need to ask people. Now, up here, this is going to say since published. This video has had 22,900 views. This came from someone saying, Rhonda, could you make a video on a flip book? I had never even thought to make a video on a flip book. But you know what? I did it. And that's what happens. And I made this video. I want to say this was published. Let's see. When did I publish this? It was probably the middle of last year. This is part of my YouTube ebook series. If I had not created that, I would have missed 22,900 views. And this video is maybe like 87, almost $87. Okay. So let's see, what else do we have? Is there such a thing as your niche being too niche down? Sharon, what I would say with that is if there are other people who are successful who are doing that, then no. If your niche is something like people that only read books on Tuesdays that end in, on with the 13th, then obviously that's probably too niche down. But give me an example, if you don't mind, of what your niche is. And I always say one way to validate it is to go to Amazon and see if there are any books on it. Go to YouTube and search your topic and see if there's others that are doing it. And if there are, then you're fine. And remember, they're not your competition because no one can do what you do the way you can do it. All right, let's see here. Ecclesia says, we can do it. You absolutely can. And we all will. And we talked about blocking them. So, any other questions before we wrap up? I appreciate you guys spending time with me. And I just so want to apologize for the technical difficulty. I promise you, next Wednesday, when we get back together, for those of you that can join me live, or remember the replay is always going to be available, just know that my goal is to teach on Wednesdays, typically from 12 until about 1:30, and that's going to include questions that you might have. But my goal is to give you what you need to build an audience, to create the content you need to build an audience, and then get you to the point of being able to build an email list, which is then going to allow you to sell your digital products much faster. As I said, where our goal is not to try to go from I decided I want to do, X, Y, and Z. Now I want to sell digital products. That doesn't work. I mean, unless you're going to run ads or use Etsy, which personally, I'm not an Etsy fan, simply because I feel like there are better ways. I'm not knocking the platform. I just feel like there are better ways to sell your digital product that will be a lot more profitable for you. And also, remember, maybe you don't know this, but if you sell on Etsy and someone buys your product, you don't get access to the customer information. Etsy owns that. I want you all to learn how to build a email list, so that you have direct communication with your customers. You can develop that know, like, and trust factor by nurturing the relationship. And then when it is time to actually create digital products, you're going to ask them what they want to learn. And then you create those digital products, which is going to allow you to get those digital products sold much faster. All right. Okay, so let's see here. Oh, the affiliate strategy. Okay. Thank you for mentioning that to me. Let's see here. All right. Oh, if it's nutrition, no. Everybody's trying to get healthier. I mean, tell me what you do. That might be something I'm even interested in. No, nutrition is not too narrow unless it's like I said, unless it's something that says you only eat something on, some random day of the week or whatever, and you can never have it again the rest of your life. No, that doesn't work. All right, that wouldn't work. My affiliate strategy. One of the things that I want you all to think about is when you are building an online business, you want to find affiliate products that align with your niche. I'm going to go back to crocheting again, all right? Now, if your niche is crocheting, there are definitely going to be affiliate products that you can recommend. Now, you can become an Amazon affiliate relatively easily. And of course, then what you're able to do is as you are suggesting or presenting content to people and teaching them things, you can say, well, this is the type of yarn that I use, and here's where I get it from. And if you're an affiliate for Amazon, you can link to that. Okay. What I'm saying is, I recommend that you have an affiliate strategy because it is an additional source of income that you can generate simply because you're referring things to people that they're more likely than not going to learn or going to need. I like to make sure that the types of things that I refer to people through the affiliate programs that I work with are things I actually use. Okay. So that's just me. Now, there are other people that will refer things that they don't use. I like to refer things that I use. And I like to refer things that I know for a fact are going to help other people. Okay. So let me give you an example. One thing that you've probably seen me refer is system.io. Why do I do that? Because when I first got started building my website, I had to Frankenstein the whole thing. Okay. I shouldn't say the website, but all the components of it. So I had to find an email marketing system. I had to find a payment processor. I had to find, you get the point. All those things I had to find. The reason why, and trust me, I held off on System IO for a long time because I had all this other stuff. And I'm not going to say I've completely gotten rid of it because some stuff it would just take me too long to break it down and completely implement System IO. But for somebody who's brand new, my goodness, you cannot argue the value it provides. You just can't. Everything's in one place. And I know so many people, I'm talking seven-figure earners, that are leaving things like Kajabi and going to System IO. So my point is, everybody can't be wrong. Now, for you, find things that you know for a fact would be useful to other people. And typically, the way that you become an affiliate for a company is you go to their website, you scroll to the bottom of their website page, and there's going to be a link that says affiliate. Okay. You click on that, and then there's usually going to be a form that you would fill out. Once you then fill out that form, you have to wait for approval. Some comes faster than others, and some things you're not going to get approved for. There are programs that I have not been approved for. They want to see a more engaged audience or a larger subscriber count and so forth. Okay, but find things that you absolutely believe in that you can become an affiliate for. And I recommend that when you are referring your affiliate product, it just becomes, you talk about it as a natural progression. So in other words, you can say to them, I've tried a lot of different yarn. I mean, I've tried tons of different yarn, but here's the type that works best. And I know you're a beginner, and here's some examples of things that I've been able to create with it. So definitely, this is something I want you to check out. Or these are patterns that I use, or these are the knitting or crocheting needles that I use. With that, what you're going to find is if you can just naturally work it into the conversation and it doesn't feel like it's a hard sell, most people are going to buy. Another thing that you're going to find with using affiliate marketing, this just happened to me yesterday. There was a gentleman that reached out to me after watching my flip book video, and he asked me if he said, "I already have a PDF. Can I just, go directly to Hazine?" I said, "Absolutely. Hazine is the way that you create the flip book." Absolutely. He says, "But do you have an affiliate link? Because if you do, I would like to use it because you taught me something. You were the one who told me about it." You're going to find a lot of your people that are in your audience. They want to support you, and so if they know that you have an affiliate link, they'll use it. Or if you haven't even mentioned that you have an affiliate link, many of them are going to ask you if you have an affiliate link because again, they want to lend their support to you. They understand that that can help you. Okay? So, did I in fact answer your question regarding affiliate marketing? Let's see. All right. Thank you so much, Sharon. Let's see. So, where should we set up our own site to sell our products that is affordable for someone on a tight budget? System IO. I will post a link to my video. Or you can go right to my page. It says how to sell digital products on System IO. You can set that up free, and it will allow you to have one free funnel. So, and when I say free, you don't even have to put a credit card in. So that is definitely where I would tell you, Liz, go right to my website or right to my YouTube page and find that video. I'll show you what it looks like here. Give me one second. Let's go to my channel. This is the video right here. Sell digital products, and it says System IO. That will walk you all the way through the process. It's going to explain to you what a funnel is. It will tell you everything you need to know. And then I walk you right through how to set up the funnel in System IO. Okay. So again, free is good. Now, in time, you may want to upgrade if you add on additional products in that. So, all right. Okay. Now, one other thing that I would like to ask you all is if in fact there are any specific topics that you'd like for me to cover on future live trainings, please reach out to me. You can either comment below on this video, or you can definitely reach out to me via one of my posts on my community posts. All right. So, with that being said, I so appreciate you all for being here with me. Again, I so apologize for the issues I had in the beginning, but I'm going to get this figured out and I will be back here next week, Tuesday at noon Eastern time. And I will be covering a topic, perhaps one that you suggest. All right. So thanks for being here with me. And I also want to say this before I finish up. I faced a fear today, and my fear was going live. Now, I know it may sound crazy, but I have just always had this fear of going live. But I faced it today. I decided to be brave and go for it. So if I can do it, you can do it as well. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. And let's see, can we have unlimited digital products with the free plan? No, you cannot. You cannot. But they do give you. You can do 3 funnels or maybe 1 funnel. I don't know the exact amount. And then you can also do a digital store with multiple products in there. So, but it's a very reasonable amount. But check it out and just see whether or not that will work for you. All right. Okay. So, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. I appreciate you being here and I look forward to seeing you next week, Wednesday. Have a great day. Thanks.